You won't believe what Aussies have been up to with their mortgages. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. Real estate news coming up.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good
How's your
morning.
tissue box going?
Very good. It's a good turnaround from yesterday. I've gone for the Spartacus jacket, and I've gone for a bit
Yep.
better lighting. I was a bit compromised outside. The weather's not quite as good as yesterday.
Wow. How's COVID isolation going for you?
Great. Another day done. Getting through it. I did my hour of exercise yesterday, and I felt great after it. A quick walk around the courtyard, as Spartacus would.
No. So what are we talking about this morning? You were intrigued overnight.
Yeah, I found quite an amazing article that I thought we need to share. There was an article posted on your channel giving a bit of an insight as to what the common Australian is doing. And I don't know if that's ever been so common, Mark.
It's pretty rare, and look, we're very conscious about the pain people are going through with in business with supply chain stress at the moment. We're conscious about people in the travel industry having a hard time the last year or two, and industries that have been affected. But there is good news over the last 2 years. There's good news, and we do like to talk about it.
At least people are paying their mortgages, Mark. That seems to be, people are being able to keep that on top, keep on top of that, which is good. But what's surprising is they're not only paying their mortgages. This article we read last night reveals that Australians are paying themselves 4 years in advance due to the amount of money they're holding in their offset account. Now, just to get your head around that, do you want to first talk a little bit about what an offset account is?
Sure. So, and look, this is not financial advice what we're talking about, but to the best of my knowledge, I should say. So, with an offset account, you get the opportunity of actually storing your money in an account, and where it's literally offset from your mortgage. So, a mortgage account is a bit of a trapdoor. When you put the money in, it's a one-way door. You will not be able to pull your money back out unless you have an offset account. If you've got an offset account, it's a two-way door for the money that you've put in. So yes, you'll pay your mortgage off, and they'll automatically take the money out of the offset account to pay the mortgage. But yes, there'll be a slush fund there that people can actually pull money back out in need, in the time of need, and it'll also reduce the interest on your mortgage because that fatness is sitting in there. So allow me to give you an example. If there's 400 grand mortgage and you've got an offset account, and you've got 40,000 sitting in that offset account, you will only pay on your mortgage or on your interest repayments 360 grand. But at any one time, you can pull that 40 back out, and your mortgage goes back to 400. Your repayments go a little bit higher. That's normally the function offset account. I've probably got it wrong. Yes, I'm a real estate agent, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, and I think what's surprising is people are moving their money around and have found good reason to put it in an offset account. Now, that's probably, like you say, due to the benefits of paying as little interest as possible. But what surprised me was 4 years in advance. That's absolutely insane. Now, I think reason for that is, and the article carried on to talk a little bit about interest rates. Interest rates for the last quite some time. How long would you say interest rates have sort of been at their lowest mark? I mean, back in your day when you bought your first property, you would have been paying What?
About 7.
Wow.
Was where the over those rates. But I know I talked to my parents and they were around 17% in parts of the 80s where they were sitting at. So they are at absolute historic low rates. And I think people, particularly more mature um, uh, people that have mature loans and which are mature people, so people in their sort of maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, they're used to a higher interest rate. And if you think about it, Billy, if it gets 2.5% and from 5%, that is half. You should be slamming your mortgage repayments. You should be slamming them, which is what people are
Yeah,
doing.
that's right. And it's also not given much incentive for people to move money into savings accounts as such, because there's such little return. I think people have probably moved that elsewhere, and if they've got that against their mortgage, maybe they've seen better use for their money.
Do you want to explain that?
As in people that is the article went in a little bit and said people that are saving for property, it's
Yeah,
actually it's harder for them at the moment, and
yeah,
in a
yeah,
funny kind of way, this is given leverage to people that have already got wealth because they're making small repayments on such huge amounts of debt. It's
yeah.
very it's proven much better for people in debt than people that are trying to save for their first deposit. So where they used to be moving money into you know savings account and tying money up for 3 to 4 months, even a little bit longer, 6 months, 12 months, they're probably not doing that any longer because they're simply not seeing the return. So if people have moved that around now into an offset account, then that would sort of explain the numbers.
Absolutely. And look, people, I know my brother-in-law sent a thing around. I'm just pulling it up now. My brother-in-law sent something around, and people forget, Billy. But do you know when you used to have your money in the bank, what they used to give you?
For savings,
Mm,
tell me,
have a guess. I'm pulling it up now.
how long ago are we talking?
We are talking 20 years ago.
Oh, I've got no idea, but it can't be the 0.1% that it is now. I would have thought the
Okay, so
returns back on, bonds and things like that were pretty reasonable back in the day. People almost lived off that. If you had if you had a cash investment, you could almost do quite well off the interest return.
that's how times have changed. Let's see what my good old brother-in-law, I can't find it, but they were around 10%.
And that's insane.
They were at, it's insane. So you used to save money. The bank used to give you 10% on your money. I'll put the photo in this story when I find it. But it simply just means that now they're not getting that return now. Just so you understand, savings accounts, they're getting 0.1%. Why would you put your money in a savings account when you can put it in your offset account if you've got a mortgage, and it's going to save you 2.5% on your money, and that's effectively what people are doing. So the days of the saving account are dead, and the days of putting an offset account are thriving. So much so that Aussies have got 4 years in advance there. That's our story today.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom
That's
line.
the bottom line.
It's That's pretty amazing though. And then the article sort of went on to talk a little bit about what the next 24 months looks like, because in reality, the the return of slightly higher interest rates is upon the horizon. They said it's likely there's going to be a decision made by the RBA that there's going to be on two separate occasions for 2022, they would look to raise the interest rates, and then potentially another two into 2023. So I think over the next 24 months, we
It's
could see 3 or 4 readjustments. But what's positive, Mark, is he said the basics of economics is they're only going to raise the interest rates in prosperous economic times. So it's not like we're still bleeding. I think the country as a whole is starting to make a bit of a return as we start to open up back up.
It is. It is. But, I just don't know what's around the corner. You look at COVID 1, COVID 2, I call this COVID 3. You're just not sure what's around that corner there. But it is great news that Australians have these offset accounts with cash in them, with 4 years of mortgage payments in there. That is huge. So I think when people think Aussies have their ass hanging out in the property market, and when people think that they've got their spent, think again.
Yeah, and if the not if but when the interest rate does change slightly, it seems like people are prepared for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And that's a take.
that's a take.
It's good news this morning. Really good luck with ISO.
Thank you.
So you're out probably Thursday, Friday.
I think Friday, Thursday, yep. And then I'm free.
Oh, look, we missed out on Luke this morning. Sorry, mate. We've had CBD dead, apparently. I agree. RBA puppets. It's true. If cash rates are 10%, would you still buy a property? Interesting. Everyone is cashed up. That is for sure. Safety and security is no good for the long term. Lots of fear. Invest
I've got a
more.
question for you, Mark.
Why? Yeah, mate.
Do you think these insanely low interest rates, more savings rather than anything, has brought on this world of crazy ideas as well, such as the cryptos, such as these NFTs, all these different ways of people trying to put money away now and turn it into something else?
I've got a bit of an educational on this one, and I'll do a real quick one. We will expand on it maybe next Monday, but I want you guys to think about this because it's a good question. So a very close family member to me, very senior to me, said, I can invest it with my accountant and my accountant will get me 13% return. People are looking at crypto and they're saying, well, I can get this percentage return. So I said to my senior family member, I said, so if you give your accountant $13,000, they are going to get in 1 year $13,000 back for you out of your 100. Yes, that's a wonderful return for doing nothing, better than the bank's giving me 0.1%. I said, no. I said, why not? I said, well, guess what your accountant's going to do with the money? She said, what? I said, they're going to go buy property. And they're going to take the return on the property and give you back 13%. She said, well, that's fine with me. I said, think about this. When you take $100,000 of your money, how much rent do you get on $100,000 of your money when you buy a property?
What do you mean? There's no property for 100,000.
You buy.
Correct.
You buy something for $500,000. So you take your $100,000 and you buy something for $500,000, and that gives you a return of say $25,000 a year. So straight away, do you get where I'm going?
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm going now? All right. So, and then if you've bought a property for $500,000 because you've put in your $100,000, what capital growth will you generally get over 10 years? 10% a year.
That's it. Proven.
On what property price?
That's a median across the range.
Okay, on what property price? 500,000. So you're getting 50 grand a year. You're getting 50 grand a year on capital growth. On average, you're getting 5% return on rent, which is going to be on 500 grand, 25 grand. You're getting $75,000 on your $100,000 because you bought a $500,000 property. So I said to the senior family member, I said, well, so your accountants are going to give you 13 grand, and if you bought a property for 500 grand, you would on average make 75 grand. 13%, 75%, and they went, oh shit, I never looked at it that way. Banks will not lend you on crypto, but banks will lend you on property. That says something.
Yeah. I think that yeah, that's all it needs to say.
Yep.
But it's an interesting conversation to be had. These insanely low interest rates has really not left anyone. It's not really left any reason in the game to keep it in a savings account anymore.
Absolutely. And guess what else?
Happy birthday, Branka! Woo!
Branka Stankovic. Now, if you want to meet one of the most interesting people in the world, one of the most beautiful people in the world, that is the one, that is the only Branka Stankovic. She's our property management department head. She is a absolute weapon. It is her birthday today. Happy birthday, Branka. Property Manager of the Year according to realestate.com.au. She's an amazing person. You worked very closely with her.
We call her the unicorn.
She's the best. Happy birthday,
Call her
Brunks.
the unicorn. Yeah, like there is no one comparable. That's why Branka is the unicorn.
She's amazing. Mate, take care. Thank you for the show today, Billy, and everyone. Hopefully you got something out of today's show.
Amazing. You're going to need to hang up, Mark, because my phone's in a tissue box.
See you, everyone. Love you, everyone. See you. Bye. Take care. Thanks, Billy.
Bye.